Sibukele ke masiphinde sikubulise kwakhona ngoku sikwiyure yokugqibela yenkqubo yanamhlanje apho ke sizawuphakela izishushu siphinde sikukrobise kokunye esithe sakuphathela kona namhlanje ngentseni kwezi euro zimbini sezizigqibile.
Wasiyekanga sigawula sirhuqa sikhohlela siginya apha ekhaya jikelele masibulise kwakhona kumakhaya ngamakhaya kwindawo ngendawo sikhahlele kaloku ko Mount Frere kwaBhaca emampondweni eqoboqobo ecofa imvaba Mthatha kuTsolo kuQumbu nonke kwezo ndawo nikuzo singabalibali kaloku pha kwiphondo lakwa lase KZN bangakhwelethi bathi sibalibele komgugundlovu olundi koNewcastle siyakhahlela bantu bakuthi sinamtyela ke kwinkqubo enithanda kunene i-Ekhaya Jikelele kuninzi ke esiniphathele kona amanqaku atshotshe enhlanje emva kweli naphesheya kwamalwandle singalibalanga kaloku isimo sezulu ezemidlalo dibala ntoni na wena nje hlala uthi zava usiyekele apha kuthi sikuphakele eziphala phambili masijonge ke kweziqhubekayo. Kusoleke ipolisa elinye namabanjwa amane kwingozi ekuhola wendlela u-M1 phakathi kweCollet Drive kunye neAthol Auckland phezolo.
Lutshani nginguleno sigusheshelo umhatsho ikwekwezi FM emthonjeni 9 to 12 siyakwamukela ehleleni elitsha likamabonakude lendaba ezinabileko Ekhaya Jikelele sikhamba nawe nayomsebenzini uchinge esikolweni konke okuhloka kuyokuthola zamva nje siphuma phambili indaba siqahe ngezemidlalo ubujamo bezulu ukuthi na uphuma ekhaya wazi ukuthi umbathe njani konke okuhloka ngelimi oluzwisisako la ku SABC News.
Kusubeke imiphefumlo emihlanu uquka igosa labakwantsasana kungquzulwana lwezithuthi kutshanje. Isithuthi samapolisa besithwelise amabanjwa besuka enkundleni siyesagilana nesithuthi sohlobo lweFord Ranger emva komqhubi wale moto othe wahluleka kukulawula isithuthi sakhe kususela ungavisisani kwakhe nomnye umqhubi nobeza ngqo kuye. Amapolisa amabini namabanjwa amabini ebeniminyaka eyi-54 yaye kunikezwe ingxelo yokulimala okumaxongo.
Abahlali bommandla wasemachibini emtubatuba kumantla eKwaZulu Natal bazama ukuvuselela amakhaya abo emva kokuba etshatyaliswe ziziqhithi njengempelaveki amakhulu abantu ashiyeke eswele. Abantu abathandathu baye basweleka kuquka nabantwana abahlanu. Amaqela olawulo lwentlekele athumele uncedo loluntu kwiintsapho ezichaphazelekileyo. Urhulumente usahlola ubungakanani bomonakalo.
Lusaqhubeka ungquzulwano phakathi kwelizwe lamaSirayeli nePalestina. Uloyiko liyakhula lokuba le mfazwe ingayimfazwe enkulu kumbindi mpuma. Isirayeli ihlasele iGaza ngalentsasa kwaye inqwelomoya yayo ibethe izixeko ezithile emazantsi eLebanon ngobusuku bayizolo.
Kusenjalo inkokheli ye-EFF uJulius Malema uthi Hamas ayinakubekwa tyala ngokuhlaselwa kwayo kwilizwe lakwaSirayeli ekuqaleni kwale nyanga. Ukutsho oku ngethuba i-EFF ibiqhankqalaza ngaphandle kwendlu yozakuzo yase-Israel ePitoli izolo.
Free, free! Free, free!
Iqembu eliholwa nguJulius Malema nalo lizwakalisa ukukhala kwalo mayelana nodaba lwempi phakathi kwePalestina nezwe lakwa-Israel. I-EFF ithi imi nePalestina kumnyama kubomvu ingakho nje ibisi ibhekishela ehhovisi lenxusa lakwa-Israel kuyozwakalisa engahambisani nakho.
In the West Bank, they are very worried because we don't know what's coming. We don't know what's coming. They invade the West Bank every day. They arrest people every day. They talk about their 200 hostages. We have 6,000 hostages in their prisons.
Amalungu e-EFF aphume ngobunengi kanti ebengahambi odwa ebehambisana namalungu ezinye inhlangano.
What I have a problem with is the African National Congress that had a march on Friday, but they talk with a split tongue. They talk from both sides of their mouths.
uMalema uthi sekuyisikhathi sokuthela kuleli kanye namanye amazwe asezwenikazi eAfrika avale amahhovisi enxusa la kwaIsrael.
You bomb a hospital and you say you are looking for Hamas, but you are killing innocent children. There is nothing wrong Hamas did.
Umholo we-EFF uphinde waveza okufanele kwenziwe esinye seyitolo kuleli.
Comrades, Woolworths has got a responsibility by end of this month to remove every product on their shelves that comes from Israel.
Leli qembu lithi lizomemezela isinyathelo salo esilandelayo maduze nje ukuze liqinisekise ukuthi limi kuphi odabeni lwePalestina nezwe lakwa-Israel.
Mbukeli mhlambi phambi kobuphume endlini namhlanje ngalentsasa mhlambi uyazibuza ba izawuhamba njani le mini khabula nali uqikelelo lwemozulu.
Impembelelo yasentshona inamandla kweli xesha abantu bamandebele bona kuyabonakala mbukela into okubana basotshele exabiseni inkcubeko yabo abemele umisa cultural umiss indoni culture yaseMzantsi Afrika usiphiwe okanye usiphiwe Jiyane noMandisa Sikhosana batyunjwe njengomiss noMr Indoni 2023 bahleli nathi ke onobuhle ozosichazela banzi ngokuba elilifa lenkcubeko labo kutheni nje besalibambile kodwa ke ngaphambi kokuba sithethe nabo masikuncamisele mbukeli kolishicilelo. mbukeli ndibethwa nje lilizwi uba bekuthiwa ndiyakwazi uyilizela ngeba ndiyayilizela. Wow, laze lalihle isiko lethu singama-Afrika. Kuhle kakhulu ke ukubona umlisela nomthinjana abantwana basakhulayo beAfrika beqaqambisa le ngqilikithi yenkcubeko. Masinibulise sinamkele enkqubeni siphiwe nawe Sikhosazana njani? Siyaphila. Ndibonile xesha lela clip into yokubana you are singing along. That will be your intro ke. Khanithi nje kancinci 30 seconds. Ingoma thina ubusombela nje na.
Nangu mamke uzana mandebele, nangu mamke uzana mandebele. Yela nangu mamke uzana mandebele, nangu mamke uzana mandebele. Eli pumalangi yange, eli pumalangi yange, nangu mamke.
Yes. Hayi nibambile. Hayi ndiye namkelekile xa senenzele njalo nami ndiziva ndamkelekile kwandebene lotshani.
Akwandi.
Ninjani?
Siyakhona njani?
Siyathokoza. Nityunjiwe ku Miss no Mrs no Mr Indoni 2023. Ukuva into yobana amagama enu aphakathi kwaba batyunjiweyo. Niye naziva njani? Ndifuna uqala ngawe.
Ngithokoze khulu umbuzo wakho omhle kangaka. Ngelanga engakhethwa ngalo bonyana kuyoba ngimi umntazana oyokujamela isizwe samaNdebele, isitshaba esikhulu kangaka kosozizwe. Ngazizwa ngitheka imnyembezi yenjabulo. Ngabethwa luvalo. Ivalo belingasingo ukuthi ngithukiwe nofana ngiyasaba. Ivalo eli ngelokuthi isitshaba samaNdebele sikulu. Yeke ukuthi bakhethe mina bangibeke esiqongolweni bathi mntazana sikhombisa bonyana iNdebele yini. Kutsho okhulu ehliziyweni nami lokho. Enye into eyangijabulisako ukuthi kwakungelinye lamabhudango wami ukuthi ngibe mntazana ozokudosa phambili abanye abantazana abanetshisakalo njengami ngokufunda ngesiko nengemvelaphi.
Hayi uwinile mnikezeni isithaba sakhe. Wena uzive njani kwethu?
Anguthokoza umbuzo wakho omhle kangaka. Ngazizwa ngithabe khulu ukuconyulwa hlangana namasokana amanengi bonyana ngimo yokujamela isitshaba samaNdebele. Kwakade kwakuyibhudango lami ngobanyana nami ngizibone ngiphakathi ngijamele isitshaba samaNdebele. Yeke ngazizwa ngithabe khulu ngazi nokubanyana ngenzeni kodwana nje hayi ngiyabona ukuthi awa mbala ngingundaba ezitha kaNdebele ngiyabuza.
Ngundaba ezitha. Hey ngiyabona into bamhlambe indlela yokuthetha yakwaNdebele imnandi kakhulu. Mandithi nami mangithokoze kakhulu ngezimpendulo zenu. Enithena ngifa zona ngisizwa ngijabule kakhulu. Siyaqonda into manje niye nabangabo oNdebele King kumkanikazi kwigudunga sidakane pageant. Ingaba niye nohluka kanjani kulesiyibonayo ngoku?
Okay ma, sithokoze kodwa umbuzo wakho omhle kangaka. Igadunga sikadange yihlangano esifundisa ngesiko nokuzibuthelela njengomntazana. Into eyangenza bona ngihluke hlangana nabantazana ekade sicudelana nabo le egadunga sikadange. Ubonyana mzukwana ngenza imvelaphi yami, mzukwana ngizitsho khangizithembile njengobana ngizithembile namhlanje. Khangizibuthelele ngombana siyafundisa ubonyana umntazana weNdebele ukuzitsheja nangambala ngizitshejile. Iye, nakubukhwari bamaNdebele ngibuthethe ngabuthatha emhlana. Ngiyathokoza.
Ngenene yazi angizwanga kahle kodwa ndiyakuva into bana eyona nto itshoyo kukuba uye waqaqambisa inkcubeko yakwaNdebele. Kananjalo nawe wenze into efanayo. Ungathi mhlambe kwesisikolo saseGandunga yintoni othe wayifunda kwaye njengoko bekhona amatyendyana alingana nawe ngaphandle ababona ukuthi hayi ezintoni zenzayo mhlambe zisesemva. Wena lento oyifundileyo ngathanda into ba uyiphefumlele nakogxa bakho ithini?
Mina into engiyifundile ukuthi angeke ngivumele intanga zami bonyana zingenze bonyana ngilahle indlela engikhambako. Yeke ke kugadunga sikadange sifundile ngokuziphatha, sifundile ngobukhwari bamaNdebele. Ningibona nginje ngikwazi ukuphothela, ngikwazi ukugwala umberego wegadunga sikadange. Sifunda kabanzi ngamasiko nangendabuko yethu. Begodi into elwisana nayo khulu ilwisana nokuthi abantwana bazithwale basesebancane. Ngifundile ukuthi ngiziphathe nami njengomuntu omutsha begodi nathi sithuthukise indaba yokuthi abantu abancane bangazithwali bachubeke nokuziphatha kuhle.
Baziphathe kakuhle and ndiyayithanda lento itshoyo because kuye kugxinaniswe kakhulu kubantwana bangamantombazana into okubana ziphatheni kakuhle. Kuhle kakhulu ke ngokuzawubona ngenene umfana osakhulayo othi no mna ndifunda into obana ndiziphathe kakuhle kuba lamantombazana afundiswayo kuba mabaziphathe kakuhle azophathwa ngobani nini madoda xa sele sitshata. Ngoko ke uba wena ufundile naye ufundile nizophathana kahle. Angithi ke njalo. Ngiyathokoza mandize kuwe esiyaqonda ukubana izinxibo ezesizwe sakwaNdebele zaziwa ngezinxibo ezi-colorful ezimbetshembetshe njengoko sibona nalapha kuni. Esiyathanda kaloku into yokubana sifunde ngohlanga lwenu kuba siyazi into yobana nakwaXhosa sinezethu impahla. Siyafuna ukufunda ngohlanga lwenu nangentsingiselo yezimpahla nezinxibileyo from i-beats because I believe wena you are a queen. Khawusixelele ngalo mzobo unxibileyo.
Nangambala amaNdebele anevunulo ezihlukahlukenele kuya ngesigaba sokukhula. Ivunulo engimbethe namhlanje yivunulo ekhombisa itlawana. Ehloko ngimbethe umkhala, ezandleni ngimbethe imbhengela, entanyeni into lesiyibiza bonyana yiraso bese kuba zingikholwane zedinini, irhabi nomadalanyana. Ivunulo le isho ukuthi ngimntazana osakhombisa bonya akakaphethi isiko. Nje ivunulo le ngeyamahlawana eMandebeleni.
Okay, okay.
And then bese lapho ke net nasele uqedile isigaba sokuba ube mntazana ivunulo nayo iya change. Lokho kusho ukuthi esinye nesinye isigaba sinevunulo yakhona.
Oh, wow, mandize ke kumakenjana abafana.
Mina anguthokoza umbuzo wakho mhle kangaka. Ivunulo engimbethe kule ikhombisa ubusekwabo. Ubusekwabo ukhombisa ukuthi umsana ongakayo ukukhuliswa kodwa ngokukhula nangokuhlonipha amasiko ngilisokana ngingimadzela. Yeke ke ehloko ngembethe umkhala, entameni ngimbethe irasu bese kuba isifutshana ngathi nembhengela bese ngambatha nebhecha. Ibhecha ke ngiloke elimbathwa abasekwabo. Awulimbathi ungasi imsekwabo.
Oh, umsekwa wena.
Hawa ngilisokana kodwa nangibethe ivunulo abasekwabo.
Ngiyabona ukuthi ufake nesifuba nami ngifake nesifuba. Sifubile lana kwaNdebele. And yazi ngicanda ukubona unxibe esisinxibo kanye lemvunulo uyinxibilayo. Ndicinga isiganeko esithe senzeka kule minyaka egqithileyo apho sabona i-cultural activist uThabanga Mhlangu owayepha kwi-mall edumileyo apha eGauteng. Wayenxibe imvunulo kwenye yevenkile kwafika umnumzana othile enxibe lemvunulo wathi hey kutheni unje unganxibanga wathi hayi ndinxibe iculture yami wanyevulelwa kodwa makayonxiba because lento ayinxibileyo nje asiyo naye wayingumndebele into ebonakalayo into bana kusekude engqinibeni apho sizawubona abantu abangazo accommodate okanye abazojongela phansi inkcubeko yethu. Ngiyathanda ukuva ku into okubana mhlambe yintoni ongathi ingenziwa luluntu luphela ukusukela ezikolweni ukusukela naseluntwini uqinisekisa into okubana abantu bayawahlonipha amasiko bayazihlonipha impahla zethu zalapha eAfrika.
Ngicabanga ukuthi indaba le isuke yamocheka net nasethina abantu abanzima sigijimela esikeni labantu labamhlophe. Yeke ke enkolweni imdele kufundiswe kubanyana indebele limbathanjani, iXhosa limbathanjani. Ngikhuluma ngama siko akhona wonke la eSouth Africa. Ngicabanga ukuthi kungavula ihlangano lapho ekuzokufundiswa khona abantu ngobuSouth Africa, ngobuAfrika bazi ngevunulo yesikhethu, bazi ngemvelaphi yabo. Ngombanyana akafanele kubanyana sigandeleleke nasimbethe ivunulo yethu kodwana mdele sithabe sizikhakhazise ngombanyana isikhethu ngeze sathuguluka. Ngikhetha isikhethu ngombanyana ekhethu sikhuluma isikhethu.
Ay yazi niliphilisa apha ku heart isikhethu angeke sathuluka yazi afuneke ndifunde isiNdebele because ndifuna lo moya so ngifuna ukuzwa kuwe because uyakhuluma lana ukuthi isikhethu angeke sajika futhi sibonile masijonga ivideo lapha ya ukuthi kuyadenswa kuthwani and yayithanda lento ibalulayo into bana funeke kufundiswe into bana umNdebele unxiba kanje umXhosa umZulu njalo ukuze sibe kanti siyahloniphana. Ndiyafuna ukuza kuyinto kubana mhlambe i-dancing apha kwi-culture yethu singama-Afrika incedisa njani uqaqambisa ngakumbi lenkcubeko?
Anguthokoze umbuzo wakho mhle kangaka. Igido nemvumo zesikhethu kuyimvelaphi yethu and umuntu akakazozazi bona uyapi angazi bona uvelaphi. Yeke ke kubaluleke kakhulu bonyana sichubeke ngemgido yesikhethu sivume ngendlela yesikhethu ngombana umuntu nakafikako mtele abone ngemvumo abone nangegido bonyana lela yindebele loya muzulu ngendlela agida ngayo. Yeke ke igido nengendlela esivuma ngakhona kubaluleke kakhulu empilweni zethu. And ke abantu nomunye mele enze isiqiniseko sobonyana isikhabo uyasazi, uyakwazi ukugida ngesikhabo, uyakwazi ukuvuma ngesikhabo ngoba into lezi izinto ezivela nazo emasikweni. Yeke ke singaziliseleli ngoba ukuliselela kwethu lezi zinto ukuliselela isiko lethu. And asizuzazi bona siyaphi singazazi ukuthi isiko lethu linjani.
Lalela ngithi mina isikhethu isikhethu. Ngeke kwajika lokho. And isikhethu nje. And I mean phakathi kwezinto sizibalulayo nesixovula ngazo, I mean zininzi izinto esingabona into okubana ziqaqambisa lengqilikithi yenkcubeko sithetha ngayo ukusukela kwimidaniso njengeke sechilo izinxibo zethu, ulwimi esiluthethayo kuba lulwimi oluviwa lolunye uhlanga. Umuntu akuva into obana xa uthi lotshana akhawuleza abona into obana usuka le kwaNdebele, xa uthi molweni bhotani aqonde ukubana usuka ezenzweni eMpuma Koloni. Enye yezinto ezi-clan names sithi ke kwaXhosa ziziduko, ndiyaqonda obana nanini negama lenu. Ningathi mhlambe kubaluleke kanjani into okubana iziduko nazo zisetyenziswe ukuqiniseka into okubana iyaqina le ngcambu, iyaqina lento yethu siyithandayo.
Siyatsho isitsho sithi isiko lisiko, nawungazi imvelaphi yakho awazi lapho yakhona. Yeke ke thina into esiyenza ngokurhubhulula ubukhwari bamaNdebele, ubukhwari beSewula Afrika. Kubalekile ukuthi umuntu akwazi ukuzibonga, kubalekile ukuthi umuntu akwazi ukuthi abonge imbongo zekhabo ngombanyana unje kungenxa yesibongo sekhenu. Njengombanyana simaSewula Afrika sonke sihlukile kodwana siligazi linye. Njengombanyana siligazi linye mtele sikwazi kobanyana sizibonge sisikhakhazise ngesikhethu ngombanyana ukuzikhakhazisa kwethu khombisa ukuthi isiko lethu silithanda kangangani. Asingaliseleli kobanyana lahleke kodwana mtele kube ngithi engathana silibambele duze silithuthukise.
Silibambile duze silithuthukise. Imangicela ninhlebele niyena practice ezimpendulo nje siyahleba sithini because ngendlela eniphendula ngayo it's like jonga ndithi ndisithi ni ready ukuthi hayi ngiyawuthanda umbuzo niyena practice
practice le right guy marayikhulu
but into lapha ngaphakathi kuni le
into sesijwayele vele
wow ayike ngosesizoyiqola siyiqukumbele inkqubo yethu kodwa ke sizawunishiya. Ndiyayithanda nalento ibalulayo into okubana awukwazi into obana uzingombe isifuba uzibize ngegama kodwa ungayazi iminyanya eyaza ngaphambi kwenu. Niyazi into obana ngoku nizawusinantsika iziduko nizitsho ubani ngobani. Right? Ake mna ndingumadlongothi ndingumamshukuma ndingumazondwa ngento zakhe unqanqela imiqhaka engazuyifakwa ndiyanishiya nani yenzani ezenu. Enkosi kakhulu sinathi silikhaya ejikelele kuhle kakhulu ukubona abantwana abafana nani abasaqaqambisa isikhethu.
Siyathokoza.
The stage is yours.
Hankuti njarara ngimraro ndarete indanga zami ngazitshiya zibambe ongenzasi ngisilongo esinzima ngithethe ibala labangwini ngalithatha emahlombe lokusabela ngingusiphiwe kodwana ngokukhula nangokuhlonipha amasiko lobusakana ngingumathela ngizinsika zakwambaneni uJiyana ngumahlaba ngongadlaba amahlaba nguThukuru wakwahlekwana komavuba ngebisi lesavukazana ngusiphofu umjwayilwa inyawo zimasese angikhambi ngedwa ngikhamba nencinyana efithazana ngibayihlenge bayisukela Chathekane lakwasikhosana ngithi hwa phezu kwabo
Manya yamanyazela yikekwezi ngekhanyisele isitshaba senjenzima lalela mSewula Afrika isitshaba samaNdebele nahlezi siyibuthalalene njengenyosi sithi yesibethe sikufe sidume ngendlela yemvelo tumadam lalela mntwana kwethu ngihlathululele matsekana ngokomzimba kodwana ngibanzi ngokomkhumbulo yingombana ngikoma hitseletsele ephekwe bogogo ngesibuyeni hangathindrwa begodu hangithindrisi Mabiza ngisabele ngikumanisa unensi ngingewasikhosana usikhosana uthamonakalelenga kangatshana ngiwale ngetshanini elangeni ngokulandelela inratha sichabo ngesimanyala sakonomtshelele yikunza kwazana ngiyakwaza yahlaba phasi ngephandro yakwaza yazinikinya nangembala ngisikulwane sakwamathibela ekhetha omkhulu umathibela uhlathandela ngomzimba abanye bayishasha ngenyawo udubazana bumbonotswayini inyani sakha kubi yaqalisa umlomo edodotsheni ngiphethe umlayezo ohabako angijamile emaroboteni ngimodere ekhamba imanyazela ngamalehe anemibalabala phezulu umlayezo lo uthi maye tharile khethu thatha umntwana umphose emhlana ungaphika nami mina ngilgolojani lambadlile ngadlela futhi kwaziwa ngiyathokoza
Bukeli maniphinde ndikwamkele kwakhona ubusanda ukungena ufika sesichwechwela ngasemnyango uphosiwe kodwa ke ungaxhalabi sikhona kaloku pha ku SABC Plus epha kunomyayi wakho kanti xa sihlabela mgama ikomishoni yonyulo iza kuphehlelela unyulo lwesizwe nolwamaphondo lonyaka ozayo injongo yokuphehlelelwa kukutyhila iphulo lonxibelelwano lekomishoni yonyulo kunye nokwazisa abavoti boMzantsi Afrika kunye nabo bonke abachaphazelekayo ngonyulo oluzayo ukanti ke ngoku sixhumana nentatheli yethu yezopolitiko yalapha ekhaya uNatasha Phiri ke akasazi kakuhle isinguni sakhe noko sithanda ukukekela ngoku sayiqhuba oludliwano ndlebe ngesingesi Natasha mandikubulise ndikwamkele ku-Ekhaya Jikelele. Morning Natasha, what can we expect?
So much, Nadia, ithi ngibonge kuwe nababukeli be-SABC News.
Natasha, what can we expect?
Ngibingelele kuwe nababukeli be-SABC News. Just apologies for that. Yes, you're correct. This is just almost 100%. What I think just to cool my nine. Indeed, the IEC today will be launching its national and provincial elections ahead of next year's elections. Of course, it's going to unveil its communication strategy, and this is to attract more voters, to ensure that more voters will actually go out in the polls, next year. But of course, they will also be unveiling a timeline of certain activities, starting with e-registration weekend, which is going to take place May 18, 19 November. And of course, those who are eligible to vote. So if you're 16 years old, you can register to vote, but you can only vote when you're 18 years old. As it stands on the current voters roll, we have over 26 million South Africans that are actually on the current voters roll, and through this campaign the IEC wants to attract more young people to vote. And I'm saying this because in the last elections, Nadia, you would remember that 26 million people were registered to vote, but sadly only 12 million people came out in their numbers. And of course this is the lowest voter turnout we have had in the country in 27 years. So the hope is that more people will actually go out in their numbers to vote next year. And the reason why next year's elections are so important is because independent candidates will, for the first time in our democratic history, be allowed to actually vote, or actually rather vie in next year's elections and stand for positions. And of course, for those who don't know, this ballot paper will be different, as we'll have 3 ballot papers. You'll have the national, the regional, and provincial. So a lot of things are expected to come out here. We do expect abaholi of different political parties to be actually here. And of course, as SABC News, we'll be getting and giving you various reactions coming out of today's launch. Of course, the program here to 10 a.m., but I do implore our SABC viewers to stay tuned to the channel. With that said, it's back to you, Nadia. So,
okay, but we know that political parties will be campaigning soon. So in terms of political tolerance during the campaigning period, which conduct is expected from them?
Well, Nadia, you would know that we live in a democratic society, and I mean, you know, various political parties are actually expected to be tolerant of each other, and if not, unfortunately, you know, such incidences could be reported to the electoral court. So, for instance, if you're a certain political party and I'm a member of another political party, I'm not allowed to deface your election posters, or I'm not allowed to take down your election posters. If there's tangible proof that I actually did that, the issue is reported to the IEC, and the IEC actually takes the issue to the electoral court, and therefore that various political party that is actually implicated in that will be meted out with a fine. So in South Africa, we haven't had many of these cases, but there was a case where some Action SA had alleged in the 2021 municipal elections that some of their posters were actually defaced by a certain political party.
So now, in terms of finance, what is the state readiness, since this year's ballot paper will accommodate independent candidates as well?
Well, Nadia, I'm not so sure if I got that question very well. I heard the ballot paper and finance. Could you please repeat your question again?
I'm asking about in terms of what is the state readiness in terms of going forward with the ballot paper accommodating independent people and the parties that we know. How are we standing financially?
Well, in terms of, I mean, the IEC has always had finances, but remember, you would remember that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the IEC's budget was cut because funds had to be reprioritized, more especially to the Department of Health in fighting, you know, that COVID-19 virus. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as we stand, things are fine in terms of the IEC. In regards to the ballot paper, so this is going to be a different ballot paper. You would remember that in the country had two ballots. Now, because of the high number of independent candidates, there will be three ballot papers. Of course, there'll be the national, where only political parties actually appear on there. Then there will be the regional and provincial, and this is where independent candidates and political parties contesting a certain region or certain seats in the region and provincial legislatures will actually be appearing. So the first time in the history of the country, we will have three ballot papers that we actually vote for. It's going to be a long one because this is for the first time, like I said, in the history of our country where independent candidates will be actually contesting. But what's also important to note, Nadia, that if you actually meet a certain requirements, the requirements for you to actually be registered with the IEC. Yes, as a political party or an independent candidate, you have to register with the IEC, but there's a certain deposit that you actually have to take out. And with the national, correct me if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected, a certain deposit of 200,000 needs to be, you know, taken out or deposited into the IEC funds. Then you come to the provincial and the regional. That money also differs. With provincial, the deposit is 45,000, and of course with the regional seats the deposit is 20,000. You also need a minimum requirement in terms of signatures, and that'll be 15%. So whether you're a political party or whether you're an independent candidate, you need 15% of signatures in order for you to actually make it and to actually contest in the elections. So it doesn't mean that everybody will be eligible to contest in the elections. If you don't have the required deposit and you don't have those 15,000 signatures, then unfortunately you won't be there. And this is quite interesting because, Nadia, about 2 weeks ago, we had actually done a story of 70 new political parties registering with the IEC. And at that time, the number of political parties was over 540. And right now, as of last week, you have 600 political parties now registered with the IEC. So it'll be interesting to see who actually makes those minimum requirements.
Oh, sounds like a lot of work. Also, that is a very, very long ballot paper. Natasha, thank you so much for your time. We hope to hear from you later, obviously giving us an update of what happened in today's press briefing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you. Lowa ke mbukeli ibintatheli yethu yalapha ekhaya SABC uNatasha Phiri ethatha kaloku ngonyulo lovoto lonyaka ozayo namaqembu athile zopolitiko azawuthi angene siwabone kaloku xa siyovota kulonyaka ozayo. Okwangoku izinto zisahamba ngokwendlela. Kodwa ke ngoku mbukeli wami masithi qhwi evenkileni siyabuya. Mandiphinda ndibulise kwakhona mbukeli usabukela i-Ekhaya Jikelele. Okwangoku ke sithetha ngezeteknoloji, artificial intelligence, i-AI ke iza nenguqu kuqoqosho lwaseMzantsi Afrika, oku kuquka ukudalwa kwamathuba amatsha omsebenzi nezinye indlela zokusebenza. Koku dliwano-ndlebe siza kuphonona ngempembelelo ye-AI kwezemisebenzi, ukusuka kwimisebenzi enakuthi iphele ukuya kumathuba amatsha anokuthi kaloku avele, nkqu nokugxininisa kwizifundo neengcali ezinezakhono kunye nokuphuculwa kwe-infrastructure yedatha ukuze kusetyenziswe i-AI ngokugqibeleleyo. Ukanti ke kumakhasi ethu eZoom sinaye u-Aubrey Mnisi ozasichubela. Aubrey, masikwamkele sikubulise Ekhaya Jikelele.
Thank you for having me. For having me this morning. And happy to be here as a
Enkosi ngovuka Aubrey, masithethe ngale AI, zeziphi trends nokunye okutsha kwiteknoloji ye-AI xa kujongwa kuqoqosho loMzantsi Afrika?
No, I mean, Sisi, you know, for technologies like AI, you know, the good thing is that you extract maximum value by contextualizing the technology. So for uzogelo, up in South Africa, like is on the industries that are quite important is your agriculture. So there's been a lot of trends around agriculture where, you know, just overall optimizing irrigation using AI, and of course increasing your crop yield as well using AI, and of course early detection of just like diseases. And of course, this is using, you know, AI and with sensors. So there's something alongside AI that is called the IoT, which is the Internet of Things, which is basically hardware you would use in, for instance, a case of the agriculture, sensors that you put on ground to pick up these variables, or if basic mining, uzogelo, siyakwazi ubasi increase safety, because, you know, there's a lot of incidents that are happening while people are mining from a safety standpoint. Now you can, for example, send a, like, you know, drone or a robot instead of uthumele umuntu and ubeke ubomi, you know, at risk. And of course with finance as well, where there's been an increased use of like fraud detection, for example, and also just around healthcare, like knowing South Africa, we have a lot of remote areas like Koma Eastern Cape, Koma Bloem, Devon, where you find the infrastructure to getting medication there is, you know, quite difficult. Now you can actually use AI and drones to go and deliver those medicines, and of course increasing our access to healthcare. So these are some of the applications that we've adopted in South Africa, you know, with of course a few companies taking a lead, and just overall, like around smart cities, for example. We can use things like intelligent vision system. There's a company here in Cape Town, it's called Amehlo, or actually a product by Sensoric, which is my company. It's called Amehlo, which is an intelligent vision system that also analyzes the infrastructure for the benefit of, you know, maintenance of our physical infrastructure. So, you know, there's been a wide use and application of AI in South Africa.
Aubrey, speaking of i-smart city, sisilindile kodwa sinalo nexhala loba i-smart city ingathi sizasichaphazela kakhulu, kodwa ke khasixelele mhlambi i-AI le sele ichaphazele njani kwezi ndawo ozibalulayo ukuthi seyisetyenziswa kuzo, ichaphazele njani mhlambi i-job market yalapha eMzantsi Afrika?
Yes, so the truth is, Nesisi, with e-technologies like AI, we oftentimes siyazoyika because robots and the reality is there is a bit of that, the displacement part of it, because of course with any new technology, similarly like in the .com, you know, bubble in the early 2000s, you had to learn a new skill, and if I was fully skilled or I was fully skilled in teacher, that's like very natural. But like a big part of it is the creation of new opportunities, the like creation of jobs, you know. And also the other thing is what AI has done, more particularly from the skills like standpoint, it also refocused, I think, the job market, because for the many years we've been focused exclusively on the hard technical skills. And with the AI, I was also focused on the soft skills, because the hard technical things, the AI can actually take care of them and do them, you know, as if it were a human, you know, which is where the displacement comes in. But in reality, there's a reskilling factor that is required, while at the same time, there's the soft skills, I would say, nurturing a way whereby for umzekelo, we know South Africa is a huge or high unemployment rate, and with AI and the tools available there, you can actually leverage on those tools to change the narrative, whereby now abantu bayakwazi basebenzise AI to create opportunities for themselves, from an SMME startup standpoint, and also there's the attention that the global market is giving to just the domain of AI itself, you know, creating now opportunities outside in South Africa or limitations of our country. And of course, there's, you know, the increased productivity side of AI when you look at, you know, from an operational standpoint. But yeah, I would rather be more excited, Sisi, than about I know AI is a age. I think it's just to some degree creating a equal playing field, because feed the AI, you know, or at least to everyone's attention. And so on, we have an equal opportunity of diving into it and learning a bit about it. And the good thing is equal information on the internet, and you know, like, yeah.
So sinyanzelekile siyifunde i-technology, sithanda singathandi ngoba ilizwe lijonge apho ngoku.
No, injalo sisi, injalo. Like you have to I'm always trying to like keep abreast, you know, with new opportunities, or rather with new technologies, because so long as it creates new opportunities. And the good thing, I think, it just creates an equal level playing field. One, because like, as much as education is important, you can pick up these things as you go along, because information khona. Umzekelo, mna ndifunde finance esikolweni, but I'm very much into AI, I'm very much into deep technology. And the good thing is with technology, it's like it's the most satisfying, I think, domain, because you and we are in the shortest time if by or not, so that you can maybe change costs, try a or we deploy try and of course start seeing value out of that. So I think it's an exciting time.
Obungakho mhlawumbe usichazele zikhona ibusiness amashishini asebenzayo ngoku athi hayibona bayaphumelela iyabasebenzela le AI sebekwazile nodala eminye imithuba amanye amathuba emisebenzi baqesha abantu izinto zabo zihamba kahle.
As you know, the quality businesses, actually I have you know, very intimate relationships with some of them, because the AI space is still not, you know, I guess, as saturated. So it's going to come back for umzekelo, ape Kapa, I'm called like a startup called Aero Robotics, which is basically like a drone imagery and AI based company for farming, you know, where they like monitoring crops, and of course identifying potential issues like pests and diseases. While we have a company in Joburg called Horus, which is they use AI as well, and like a camera. Just give me 1 second. This is the worst time.
Obringa tusasiqhawukele kancinci. Obringa tusasiqhawukele kancinci, kodwa mhlambi ngethemba sisaphinda sixhumane naye ngoba kuningi kaloku esafuna ukuthi sikufunde ngale AI.
So I mean, like a few companies, there's a company I know called Go Metro. They selling AI now, Cape Town, to optimize like public transport routes and zones, you know. We go like a company, as I mentioned, like a year or two, maybe is about Sensorics, and Sensorics develop a math, which is an intelligent vision system that analyzes the infrastructure. For instance, indoor, that's a problem, not just in our country, but all over the world, is potholes. No? The potholes, they are growing in the most increasing rate, not just up South Africa. And one of the things that we picked up, Tina, was that one of the main issues is the identification and the logging, the reporting of the potholes. Because abantu abazazi baziphi, sonke siyazazi bazikhona, but asazi baziphi ezingakanani, and mhlambe esifuna ukuzilungisa ezokhosta malini. So with Amehlo, we built a device like a nini, uyifaka emotweni, ufaka camera, and moto eziqhuba iya-analyzer indlela, and then pick up uba kukho i-pothole apha, kukho i-crack, kukho i-road marking efeydayo, because all of these things combined contribute to, you know, lack of like road safety in the country, because I want to mhlambe estradweni simnyama because and I can't be as if lights aren't working there. So with AI we can detect that. We can do you know, also traffic optimization using AI. There's a company in the fintech space as well that uses AI to calculate eligibility for loan application. I think they're called Jumo. And there's also like another company in the health space called Vula, I think Vula Mobile. So there are a few companies, CC, that are taking full advantage of AI and just leveraging on its capability to create more, you know, business, or rather beef up their business proposition, and of course setting themselves apart from competitors.
Yeah. Umuntu obukeleyo ke ngoku othi hayi kodwa nami ndiyafuna uyifunda le AI okanye kanti ndiyafuna ungena kumsebenzi onxulumene ne-AI, mhlawumbi zeziphi izikills nezinto nemfundo efuneka ayifumene ukuze angene?
So as I mentioned earlier, it's a very different time now. Like, izinto unnecessarily only reliant on hard technical skills, but yesikolweni ufumane lo programming degree for uba ukwazi be involved in AI. Because soft skills are as important as the technical skills. Umzekelo, for uba even kwathina siyazi uba ikhona i-AI, funeka like we need to build industry advocates. Abantu abazokwazi ukuphuma pha bayekhayilitsha bayegugulate bacacisela abantu about these opportunities, which is in itself, you are participating in AI. You know, as non-technical as that contribution is, you're actually participating in the domain itself. But that's stronger, like from an educational standpoint. You definitely, like, you know, computer science would definitely aid in your favor. Engineering, like mathematics, and of course just any related, you know, quantitative, I guess, degree or qualification, because it's really, you know, problem solving. That's what AI is, because it's a simulation of human intelligence, you know, in a programmed fashion. So that needs, you know, like abantu that can actually problem solve, that can be able to, you know, devise solutions that are easy to understand, incredibly complicated to implement, so that AI can take over the complex part. And of course, just being interested in big data technologies. There's like few tools that you can learn. If you're into maths, you know, or into just programming overall with your Python. I mean, even from a technical standpoint, programming languages have become far more simple, or rather one would say rudimentary, in that, for instance, if you look at your programming languages like Python, Python is not as complicated as your C#, for example, or all the other languages that we used to use back in the days. So it has made it very simple. And this good thing is, these skills, you don't have to go to school for you know. I was on the internet and so forth, you know. Or omnyumzekelo is kukho an initiative in Landela. What is it?
hayi andifuni ukuqhawula nto nje ndibethwa lixesha Aubrey nkosi kakhulu ngexesha lakho bendingathandi basiphinde siqhubeke nale ncoko yethu because ndiyafuna kaloku nam uyazi technology ndiyafuna uyazi i-AI kwaye ndiyathemba norhulumente wethu uzawuthi asixhase kuze wonke umuntu afikelele kweli nqanaba. Aubrey mandibulele ngexesha lakho.
Ngubulela mna sisi, thanks for having me.
Enkosi.
I know inkosi kakhulu sisambulela. Thank you.
Thank you. Makhol?
Sesigoduka sibambe ngazibini ngawe mbukeli ngokuba ube nathi namhlanje siqola siqonqotha ngolohlobo sithi umuntu abe nosuku olufana nenhliziyo yakhe ayive le nhliziyo yakhe ba injani kamnandi.